In an extraordinary interview tonight, Prince Harry has spoken candidly about the breakdown of his relationship with his father and other members of the royal family.
The gift is back on the table. For 3 seconds, nobody in the room moves. A small velvet box, hinged open, sits exactly where Prince Harry slid it. The wrapping is gone. The card is unread. And King Charles III is looking at his younger son the way a man looks at a door that has just closed on its own. Then Queen Camilla sets down her cup. The sound it makes against the saucer is the loudest thing in the room. According to reports circulating in the British press, this exchange was never supposed to be witnessed. A birthday gesture from a father to a son is a private thing. But Camilla is here, and the moment she becomes the audience, the meaning of everything changes. Hi viewers. Before we go deeper, I want you to tell me one thing in the comments. If your own father handed you a peace offering after years of silence, would you take it, or would you walk away? Be honest. Type your answer below, because by the end of this story you will understand exactly why that choice is the hardest move on the board. Royal biographers have long debated whether gifts inside the monarchy are ever really gifts at all. In this family, an object handed across a table is rarely about the object. It is a signal. It carries a message that words are too dangerous to say out loud. A watch can mean forgiveness. A pen can mean obligation. And a returned box can mean something no press office wants printed. From a public relations standpoint, the timing alone is loud. The Duke of Sussex flew thousands of miles. He sat down, he listened. And then, reportedly, he pushed the gift back toward the king and let it rest there, untouched in front of the Queen. The room stops behaving like a family. It starts behaving like an institution under pressure. Watch the geometry of it. Charles on one side, the weight of the crown sitting on his shoulders. Harry on the other, no title to protect him here, only his name and his anger. And Camilla between them, not as a wife, not as a stepmother, but as a witness, whose presence turns a private wound into a public record. That is the part nobody expected. Because a gift refused in private is a family matter. A gift refused in front of the Queen is a statement. And statements in this house do not stay inside these walls. The location matters too. This was reportedly not Clarence House, not the familiar ground where these conversations usually happen behind thick doors and thicker silence. Somewhere else, somewhere chosen. And the choice of that room may have decided the outcome before Harry ever sat down. Rewind 18 months and the board looked completely different. King Charles III had just begun a reign he waited his entire life to hold. 73 years as heir, then the crown, then, almost immediately, the news that landed like a stone through glass. A cancer diagnosis, confirmed by the palace in early 2024, that turned a new king into a man racing a clock. That single fact rearranged every piece on the table, because a healthy king has time to wait out a feud, time to let a son cool off, come around, grow up. But a king under medical pressure does not have that luxury. Every unresolved fight becomes a loose end. Every silence becomes a risk that the story ends before the chapter closes. Royal commentators point out that this is when the calculations changed for everyone. Look at where each piece stood. Charles, the continuity king, holding the line while his own body negotiates against him. Prince William, the Prince of Wales, watching from the next square, already thinking like the man who inherits whatever mess is left behind. Catherine, Princess of Wales, navigating her own health battle that same year, which pulled public sympathy toward the Wales household and away from California. And then there is Harry. The Duke of Sussex sits outside the system now. No working role, no taxpayer security in the United Kingdom. A fight he took all the way through the courts, reportedly spending a fortune to challenge a decision that stripped his automatic protection. Legal filings, appeals, a ruling that did not go his way. Each step pushed him further from the centre of the board and closer to the edge. Here is the part the headlines miss. Every move in this family now serves two purposes at once.
List of those who would be invited. I was again struck by the range and diversity of the work which you are involved with. Currently, there are your two major charities, the Prince's Trust and the newly formed Prince.
There is the human purpose, a father and son trying to repair something broken. And there is the institutional purpose, the monarchy managing its own survival in public view. A birthday gift is never just affection. Not here, not now. So the question writes itself. Why would the king reach across that gap during the most unstable stretch of his reign? Why offer a gift when the timing guaranteed it would be examined, dissected, and weaponized? Because reconciliation is not only a feeling, it is a strategy. And strategies, when they fail in front of witnesses. A royal gift is a contract written in silk and silence. Strip away the wrapping and look at what it actually is. In this institution, an object passed from monarch to family member carries weight that ordinary people never have to think about. There are rules, there are records. Under long-standing palace protocol, official gifts are logged, catalogued, sometimes valued down to the pound. Because in the monarchy, nothing of value moves without leaving a trail. So when reports describe a birthday gift from King Charles III to the Duke of Sussex, the instinct is to picture something warm, a keepsake, a token. But royal historians point out that gifts in this family have served a very different function for generations. They are tools of reconciliation, offered when words have already failed. Think of it as a move designed to be read two ways. To the public, it reads as a father softening, a king sick and aware of time, reaching for the son he lost to an ocean and a memoir. That version is gentle. That version makes headlines that flatter the crown. But there is a second reading, and it is colder. A gift accepted creates obligation. It says the door is open on the giver's terms. It quietly resets the story so the institution looks generous, and the one who left looks ungrateful if he stays away. From a public relations standpoint, a gift can be a trap dressed as a kindness. And reportedly, this is exactly how the Duke of Sussex received it. Sources circulating in royal commentary suggest Harry did not see warmth. He saw management. He saw an attempt to buy a clean photograph without addressing the things he has spent years demanding be acknowledged. The treatment of his wife, the loss of his security, the wound that never fully scarred over after his mother's death. To Charles, the gift was an offer. To Harry, it was a performance. That gap in interpretation is where the whole story lives. One man hands over an object, believing it means, let us start again. The other man receives it, believing it means, let us pretend. And then there is Camilla, watching it all unfold, no longer a bystander in this drama, but something far more important to what happens next. Because a reconciliation rejected in private can be denied, smoothed over, erased. But a reconciliation rejected in the open, in front of the Queen herself, becomes something the palace can never quietly bury. The box hits the table a second time, and the temperature in the room drops. Picture the scene the way the reports reconstruct it. King Charles III seated, the gift offered, with whatever hope a father can still hold after years of public war. The Duke of Sussex receiving it, turning it over once, and then the return, deliberate, unhurried, final, not thrown, not dramatic. Worse than that, calm. Calm is what makes it institutional. Because here is the principle that experts in royal power keep returning to. A witness changes the meaning of an action. The same gesture performed in an empty room is a private heartbreak. Performed in front of Queen Camilla, it becomes a message broadcast to the entire institution. And Camilla is not a passive figure in that room. For years, she has been framed by the palace machine as the legitimacy anchor of Charles's reign. The woman whose acceptance by the public was supposed to prove the monarchy had healed its oldest scandal. Her presence at this exchange is not decoration. She is the living symbol of the story Harry's memoir tried to challenge. So when he returns the gift in front of her, he is not only refusing his father.
I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point. And the things that they're going to miss is, well, everything. You know, I love my country. I always have done, despite what some people in that country have done.
He is refusing the entire arrangement she represents. That is why the witness matters more than the gift. A private rejection is a family issue, the kind of thing that stays behind closed doors and gets denied by a spokesman. A witnessed rejection is a structural event. It tells every courtier, every advisor, every person who serves the crown that the rift is not closing. It is hardening. And there is a piece missing from this picture: Prince William. The Prince of Wales is not in the room. He does not need to be, because every tremor in this family travels straight to the man who inherits it. Whatever Harry refuses today becomes William's problem tomorrow. The spare's defiance lands on the heir's desk, whether the heir is present or not. That is the cruelty of the board. One brother acts, the other absorbs the consequences, and the king, caught in the middle, has to decide whether to respond as a father or as a monarch. Knowing the two answers point in opposite directions, the room waits for Camilla to react. But according to those who have pieced this moment together, her reaction did not come immediately. The silence stretched, and what she did in that pause may have mattered more than anything that was said. Queen Camilla does not raise her voice. She does something far more dangerous. She goes still. Reports describe a visible discomfort settling over her after the gift comes back across the table, a stiffness, a controlled quiet, the kind of composure that costs effort to maintain. And in royal terms, that stillness is data, because the Queen rarely lets the public see strain. When she does, even second-hand through whispered accounts, it tells you the wound underneath is real. To understand why, you have to understand what Camilla actually protects. She is not fighting for the throne. She will never sit on it as a ruling monarch. Her entire position rests on a single hard-won achievement: acceptance. For decades, she was the most criticised figure in the family, the woman the public blamed, the name attached to the collapse of a fairy tale. The journey from that to Queen took 30 years of careful, patient image work by the palace, and royal biographers have long debated whether that acceptance was ever truly complete, or whether it was simply managed well enough to hold. That is the pressure point. The Duke of Sussex, in his memoir Spare, reportedly described Camilla in terms that reopened the oldest question of all: whether her place in this family was earned or arranged. He painted her by many readings as a figure willing to trade in stories to secure her own standing. Whether or not that is fair, the accusation struck the one thing she cannot afford to lose. So when Harry returns the king's gift in front of her, the insult is layered. It is not only I reject my father, it is I reject the version of this family that includes you as its queen. The gift becomes a proxy. The refusal becomes a referendum on everything she spent her life building. And here is where the emotional becomes the political. A wife's hurt feelings are private. A queen's visible discomfort, witnessed and repeated, becomes a fact that circulates through the institution. Courtiers notice, advisors take note. The story stops being Harry and his dad and becomes Harry and the crown. With Camilla standing exactly on the fault line between the two, she holds the legitimacy of Charles's entire reign in her position. Shake her, and you shake him. Shake him, and the whole structure leans toward the man waiting in the wings. That is the trap closing around all of them. And then, according to those reconstructing the scene, something small happened that no one has fully explained. A member of staff reportedly left the room before the king said a single word in response. King Charles III says nothing. The gift sits on the table. The Queen holds her stillness, and the man who could end the silence with a single word chooses instead to let it grow. Seconds pass, then more, and in that quiet, something shifts that no one in the room can name. Because in this family, silence is not absence, silence is control. Royal commentators have long noted that the monarchy communicates most loudly when it says nothing at all. A statement can be challenged, a reaction can be read, but silence forces everyone else to move first. It hands the pressure back across the table and waits to see who breaks. So when Charles does not respond to the returned gift, he is not frozen, he is calculating. Here is the conflict tearing through him in that moment. He is two men at once. He is a father, sitting across from a son he has not been close to in years, watching that son reject the one peaceful gesture he had left to offer. And he is a monarch, aware that every flicker of his face will be reported, repeated, and weighed by people who serve the crown.
Done in this book or otherwise has ever been any intention to harm them or hurt them. And after many, many years of lies being told about me and my family, there comes a point where, you know, again, going back to the relationship between certain members of the family and the tabloid press, those certain members have...
The father wants to reach across the table. The monarch knows he cannot, because the moment he chooses the son, he wounds the queen beside him, and the moment he defends the queen, he loses the son for good. From a public relations standpoint, there is no clean exit. Any visible emotion picks a side, and picking a side in front of a witness turns a private rupture into a public verdict. Look at the triangle pinning him in place. Harry, the son, demanding acknowledgement. Camilla, the queen, demanding loyalty. And William, the future king, standing just off stage, ready to inherit whatever Charles fails to resolve. Three pulls in three directions, and one man in the centre who cannot satisfy any of them without betraying the others. So he holds, he absorbs. He gives nothing the cameras of memory can use. It is, in its own way, the most royal move possible, to feel everything and reveal nothing. To let the institutions speak through stillness, when the man inside the crown would rather shout. But silence has a cost. It leaves the wound open, it settles nothing. And it sends the unanswered question rolling forward toward the one person who is not even in the room. Because royal biographers point out that information inside this family travels fast, and reportedly, within hours of the gift hitting that table for the second time, word of what happened was already moving toward Kensington Palace, toward the desk of the man who has the most to lose. Prince William hears about it before the day is over. The Prince of Wales does not need to witness the scene to understand what it means. A briefing, a phone call, a quiet word, from someone who is close enough to know. And suddenly the heir to the throne is holding a problem that began in a room he never entered. His reaction, according to those who study him, is not emotional, it is strategic. Because William long ago stopped reading Sussex incidents as family news. To him, every move his brother makes is a calculation about succession. He is the man who inherits the institution, and the institution does not forgive instability. So, when he learns that Harry returned their father's gift in front of Camilla, he does not ask how everyone feels. He asks what it costs. And the cost is real. A public reconciliation with Harry could reopen the entire debate about half-in, half-out royal life. The arrangement William reportedly never wanted and fought hardest against. A permanent freeze risks making the future king look cold, unable to heal his own family. A quiet settlement could enrage the courtiers who believe the Duke of Sussex crossed lines that cannot be uncrossed after the interviews, the documentary, the memoir that sold over 1 million copies in a single day. There is no move that does not carry a price. Standing beside him in this calculation is Catherine, Princess of Wales, the figure who, through her own difficult year, became the most quietly powerful symbol of stability the monarchy has. Her presence steadies the Wales household in the public eye. And royal watchers point out that her steadiness only sharpens the contrast with the chaos arriving from across the Atlantic. This is the survival logic William lives by. In the monarchy, perception outranks affection. A family can be broken in private as long as it appears whole in public. The danger is never the wound itself. The danger is the wound being seen. And this wound has been seen by the Queen, by the staff, by everyone the story will reach. So William faces the same fork his father faced, only colder. Contain it and risk looking heartless. Engage it and risk feeding it.
can be.
You know those people in the world who like, oh, they sort of like, oh, I love the royal family. I totally get the monarchy. That's my wife. That's one of the things. Like, I'm like, I got no hostility against you guys. A little. I got no hostility.
Either way, the spare has forced the heir to spend energy he would rather save for the crown he is preparing to wear. Reports suggest that what came next was a conversation no spokesman has ever confirmed. A private discussion between Charles and William, held shortly after, about a subject the palace has worked for years to keep buried. The name no one says out loud is suddenly in the room, Diana. Because reportedly the gift Charles offered carried something more than sentiment. Accounts circulating in royal commentary suggest the object held a personal reference tied to the early years of his life. A thread reaching back to the time before the marriage collapsed, before the divorce, before the night in Paris that changed this family forever. And if that is true, then the gift was never just a gift, it was a memory wrapped in velvet. Which is exactly why Harry could not accept it. Royal biographers have long debated whether the Duke of Sussex can ever separate the present from the past. His mother's death shaped everything. His distrust of the press, his fury at the institution, his belief that the family chooses image over the people inside it. So when his father offers a token tied to that very history, Harry does not see a peace offering. He sees the institution asking him to forgive the system. That, in his telling, failed his mother. That is the lens. Every gesture from the crown passes through Diana for him, and the family knows it. This is the structural memory the monarchy can never escape. Diana is not a closed chapter. She is the framework through which the public still reads everything. The sympathy that follows Harry, the suspicion that follows Camilla, the caution that follows Charles. Nearly 30 years gone, and she still moves pieces on the board. And here, the oldest tension resurfaces. Camilla and Diana were never separate stories. The acceptance of one required the rewriting of the other. So, when a gift tied to Charles's early reign is returned in Camilla's presence, the echo is impossible to ignore. It is the past refusing to stay buried, surfacing at the worst possible moment. The monarchy does not operate outside its history, it operates inside it. Every modern crisis is an old crisis wearing new clothes, and this one wears the oldest clothes of all. That is what makes the returned gift so dangerous. It is not only about a father and a son in the present, it is about a wound that 3 decades of careful management could not fully close. And according to those reconstructing these events, the moment William understood what the gift represented, the conversation inside the palace stopped being about a birthday at all, and started being about something one senior aide would later describe in a single chilling word. Inside the palace, the story splinters into 3. By the time the incident reaches the people who run the machine, the courtiers, the advisors, the communications teams who guard the crown's image, there is no longer one version of what happened. There are several, and each one points to a different future. The first reading is hopeful. Charles tried. He reached for his son with a genuine gesture, and the failure rests on Harry, not the king. In this version, the monarchy looks generous, and the Duke of Sussex looks unable to forgive. The second reading is colder. The gift was a test. An institutional boundary drawn to see whether Harry would step back inside the lines. He didn't. In this version, the refusal is not heartbreak. It is a declaration that the Sussexes are gone for good. The third reading is the most human. A son, still wounded, rejected his father's love because the love came with conditions he could not accept. No strategy, no plot. Just pain that never healed. Royal experts point out that this is how power institutions actually behave under pressure. One event fractures into competing stories, and each faction inside the palace adopts the version that serves its own position. The story you believe depends on the chair you sit in. That fragmentation is the real danger, because a unified palace can manage a crisis. A divided one leaks, briefs against itself, and lets contradictory accounts reach the press, until the public no longer knows what is true. From a public relations standpoint, the institution's greatest enemy is not Harry. It is its own inability to agree on what Harry did. And reportedly, one senior aide cut through every interpretation with a single assessment that silenced the room, describing the moment, according to accounts circulating in British commentary, as non-reversible. Not difficult, not painful, non-reversible. That word matters, because in an institution built on continuity, nothing is supposed to be permanent. Feuds cool, statements get walked back, doors stay cracked open. But when an aide says a thing cannot be undone, he is saying the board has changed shape, that whatever balance held this family together has shifted into something new. Before we close this story, do something for the channel that helps it grow. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next breakdown of the power moves hidden inside the world's most watched family. And drop your honest thoughts in the comments. Your take might be the one that makes another viewer see this whole game differently, because the final question is the one no one in that palace can answer yet. Set the whole board down and look at it one last time. King Charles III, the king holding stability together while his own health negotiates against him. Trapped between the son he wants back and the queen he cannot abandon. Prince William, the Prince of Wales, the future consolidation of everything, calculating containment from a distance. Queen Camilla, the legitimacy anchor, shaken in front of witnesses by a gesture aimed straight at her standing. And the Duke of Sussex, Harry, the one piece that refuses to sit in the square the system assigned him. 4 pieces, one unresolved equation. And here is the conclusion that reframes everything you have heard. The gift was never the event. The gift was the bait. The real event was the reaction. The silence, the stillness, the fracture it sent through every level of the institution. Everyone watched the object. The object was the wrong square. The move that mattered was the audience. Because a refusal in private is a family matter, a refusal witnessed by the Queen is an institutional message, and an institutional message once sent cannot be recalled. Royal biographers have long debated whether reconciliation between Harry and the Crown is still structurally possible, or whether too many lines have been crossed for any gesture to repair. This moment may be the answer. Not a shouting match, not a lawsuit, just a small velvet box pushed back across a table that told everyone in the room the distance is now permanent. The lesson sitting underneath all of it is simple. In royal chess, the most dangerous piece on the board is not the king. The king is protected, predicted, surrounded. The most dangerous piece is the spare, who refuses to stay where he was placed, because he is the one move the system cannot fully control, and the equation remains open. According to reports circulating in the British press, a second private communication between the Duke of Sussex and King Charles III is allegedly being arranged, but under conditions never used before in modern royal history. Conditions reportedly designed so that what happened in that room can never happen again. A meeting with rules, a reconciliation with terms. What those terms are, and whether Harry will ever agree to them, is the question that will decide everything that comes next.